Welcome to the I Need Coffee and Better Ideas podcasts, where we caffeinate your brain with the freshest takes in news media. I'm Birger Soiland, and today I'm joined by Johanna Suhonen from Alma Media. She's currently working as VP of Content Business there, and we'll get into the depths of the media landscape today. Johanna, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for the invite. Great to be here.
So we've worked together for some time now. Alma Media is a customer of Norkon, and you're working with us on our fantasy funds game, which I see is going well. What I wanted to sort of get into today is on the broader topic of the Nordic media landscape and how to future-proof media businesses here. But before we get to that, how'd you end up where you are today? What's been your career path so far?
Well, it has been a journey. I actually started studying or studied journalism and communications at Helsinki University. And I really planned to become a journalist myself. But by some coincidences, I ended up in a PR agency when I was studying. So I soon noticed that I might be more of a commercial person. I really enjoyed playing with the numbers and talking with clients, and also internet was very new then, and I really fell in love with all digital things. And so that led me to more marketing and sales and things like that, product development also. I have always worked with subscriptions. I have been working in telco and book sales, particularly book clubs and credit cards and so on. So subscriptions has been a big thing for me always. I have always been very lucky to be in situations where the company has to transform from legacy business to more digital business. And so it has been an adventure, absolutely. But then it was 14 years ago already. It sounds such a long time. I noticed that Alma Media is looking for a person to change subscriptions from print to digital. So that was the time when New York Times had just launched paywall, and the iPad was totally new. So everything was changing around media subscriptions. And I came to Kauppalehti, which is the leading financial news outlet here in Finland, to build up digital subscriptions and also run subscription business. And well, here I am still after 14 years. It sounds such a long time.
Well, time passes by quickly when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I noticed today you put on LinkedIn that Alma Media has had some great results. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's always fun to read, especially in this day and age. Now, talking about sort of subscriptions and the digital innovation and transformation, financially sustainable media companies have to sort of work in a future-proof way. So if we start there, what have been the biggest challenges at Alma Media facing, and maintaining financial sustainability today and working in a way where you're ensuring that the company is future-proofed for what may come in the coming years?
Yeah, financial sustainability is absolutely huge challenge for everyone working in this area. And it's something that you can't really forget at all. You have to remember it all the time, even though you are also taking care of the quality journalism, and that's really definitely in the core of Alma Media. It's one of our core values. But quality journalism and financial sustainability go hand in hand, definitely. You have to build up the resources to produce journalism, to innovate around it, so that it stays relevant also to younger generations and a large audience. But without quality journalism, you can't really manage financially sustainable media company. It's the thing that you have to do also to build up the business innovation that brings, once again, the financial success. So these are very much hand in hand.
And how do you foster then a culture internally that takes care of these things? Because Alma Media is quite a large company, and you have your toes dipped in different kinds of waters and within the media. What are some of the ways that Alma Media is fostering an innovation friendly culture internally?
There is definitely a strong culture inside Alma Media. One of our main values is courage to do new things and courage to change things and try new things. We really want to keep us as I could say, like a small company. We want to work like entrepreneurs inside the company. And I always say that the culture here is like you have to do things because we are still a fairly small media company, but you can also do things. So if you just have a good idea, there is always room to try new things. And I think that's something that really is something that is very strong in our culture. It's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone. And some people don't like our culture because you really have to do a lot of things here also. For example, our organization is very, very low. We don't have that many bosses. And even though if you are a boss here, you still have to do a lot of things. So it's also a challenging culture. And also I have to say about our values, we are very, very profit-oriented people. Even the journalists are very, they understand the numbers. And so there is a common language also around the financial sustainability. We know that we have to deliver the numbers to get going.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make there. That's been coming up lately is sort of balancing that journalistic integrity with the financial sustainability and the business mindset of things. And it's natural that, of course, management and leadership roles in media companies come with a journalistic background more often than not, I would think. But also at the same time, having that business mindset and keeping on driving a thought behind that the content needs to have a centerpiece in the product development. But within that, it also needs to then be a sort of an ROI thought on it. Like, why are we doing this? Are we producing this piece of content or this kind of content to make money on it? And if so, how? Right? That's something that I see is coming up more and more, and it's being forced a bit more and more now that media companies can't rely on old revenue streams being as secure as they used to be. One area that also keeps coming up that doesn't seem to have, and I could be wrong, but there are markets where perhaps it's more intrusive than others, but I'm sure that you're experiencing this in Finland as well, with big tech coming in, right? How are you working in Alma Media relating to the open AIs, the Googles, the Metas, and so on, making sure that you are on top of things of what's happening outside of your own control, basically, because you can't control what they do, but you can control how you relate to them. What's your take on that?
I guess the relationship is still like a frenemies, like it has been for over 10 years now. So that, of course, we are very careful to take all the advantages that we can get from collaboration with them. But we, of course, have to be very careful how things are developing, as a lot of things are developing now really, really fast. And of course, we have to be very close to regulators that handle things on an EU level and here nationally. Absolutely. These are things that are more and more important in our agenda, definitely.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, there are lots of things that we are doing. Of course, the young people, they love social media platforms. You have to be there. But you have to also be able to keep your eye on your own ball and really be attractive for these kinds of audiences also on your own platforms.
Yeah, for sure. And that seems to be an increasing topic, although I think that's always been the case as well, right? You talked about you were early on be falling in love with the internet, right?
Mhm.
And time has passed since we saw the internet come in, and our habits of consuming media has changed. Even for me, as a middle-aged man living in Norway, my media habits certainly have changed, and I'm assuming that's the truth for you as well. If we sort of broaden the scope a little bit and we look at the Nordic region as a whole, do you collaborate with other Nordic media houses? And if so, in what way do you collaborate, and how do you think you could collaborate even more with media companies that are in the same region?
Of course, there is some competition in some areas, absolutely still, but there are lots of friends here in the area. I think there is such a nice community inside Nordic media houses that there's a lot of good colleagues that we talk, maybe not weekly, but monthly, definitely, and change experiences. The markets are really similar. Of course, there are some details that vary, but they are very similar, and there's a lot to be gained in discussion and collaboration also. Maybe we don't have that kind of like really formal collaboration, but there is definitely very warm relationships.
Based on that, is there a tip you would give to perhaps publishers in other parts of the world that they can take to foster such a collaboration that is happening here in the Nordics? Is it about meeting in person? Is it about sharing insights in a safe space, so to speak? Or how do you think it's become so collaborative here? And what can publishers, for example, in the US or in the UK, try to get to the same level as here in the Nordics?
Of course, there are so many differences in other parts of world, like what kind of market it is and what kind of competition there is. But particularly here in Europe, we don't usually compete that much with each other. So there is a strong heritage for openness here in the Nordics, so that we are quite straightforward people, but we are also very open with our thoughts and things we know. So very open discussions, meeting, yes, face to face. We have very nice communities, absolutely great communities around media business, like INMA, for example, where we can meet and build relationships and then just start talking, reach out to one another.
Yeah, I've been in this industry for 18 years in different parts of the industry. And I have to say, having traveled also then quite a lot around the world, coming back to the Nordics every time and looking how different media companies are collaborating must have played a piece in the fact that the Nordics also seem to be leading the way in many areas in innovation in the media landscape. And I think that's credit to everyone here who's been working towards that unified goal of being a financially sustainable media business and driving innovation at the same time. Stepping back a little bit from the high level, in your personal day-to-day, how do you balance the approach between the editorial needs and the business goals, and to your own point, being part of that innovation culture at Alma Media? How does that work for you on a day-to-day basis?
Well, that's a good question, actually. I really need to think about that almost daily. Of course, my role is here to drive that financial sustainability, and I go with that role to many meetings every day. But I really understand, and in a way, I'm a tiny bit worried also about the journalism and the quality of journalism, so that we don't run editorial departments only by numbers. there needs to be something in a way that's surprise factor in content so that it carries on and stays relevant also in the future. So we need to have that room for creativity and building up some new things around content and storytelling. And of course, in this kind of company like Alma is, a listed company, it's sometimes very, very profit-oriented, as I said. The whole culture is, and there is not so much time and space for just like everything needs to be quite structured, what I'm saying. There is time for innovation, but it needs to be quite structured process, and sometimes maybe we need some freedom around creativity, even more than nowadays. But yes, I think I'm not very envious to the managers that run editorial department. I think it's being a journalist nowadays it's a very demanding job. You have to be a manager, and still you have to work by those ideals that really make journalism a quality journalism.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think there are times where some media companies need to be reminded of that, I think. That in the end, that's the product that you're selling. And if you're going to charge money for it or make money off of it, it needs to be quality. It needs to be something that is providing value to the end user in some sort of way. And I think there's been various initiatives on that. I think the latest I've sort of dived into myself is the user needs framework that I think is super interesting. But yeah, I'm confident that Alma Media is going to be able to balance that, both with you and your colleagues at the helm. I think you're in a great position. Rounding things off here a little bit, we always finish this podcast with the same question, as you probably know. So Johanna, how many cups of coffee do you have per day?
You might know that we are the really heavy coffee drinkers here in Finland. I think that we drink the most coffee here.
Yeah.
But the Norwegians are not far behind.
We're not far behind, though.
Yeah. It's definitely something to do with the winters.
Yeah.
I think I'm like 4 cups a day, which is a little bit less than average Finn.
Yeah. That's probably because you don't have a journalistic background necessarily. So you haven't, because every time I speak to, not every time, but more often than not, the people I speak to who have a journalistic background, they are 1 or 2 cups above everyone else. I think that seems to be like a general truth so far. But I've said it before, when we get to 100 episodes of this podcast, we're going to do a tally and see what the average is and dive into the coffee metrics a little bit, because then we will have enough data to actually make some judgments. All right. Well, Johanna, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate your time and your insights. It's been very valuable, and we're very much looking forward to put this episode out. I think there's a lot here that people can learn from.
Thank you, Birger. It was lovely to speak to you as always.
Well, thank you so much, and have a great day.